Hi, my name is Kelvin Newman and welcome to the Brighton SEO podcast, where we share talks from one of the world's most popular search marketing conferences. The event started out as a few people meeting in an upstairs room of a pub and is now attended by over 3,000 people from all over the world. This episode is a recording of one of the speakers at a recent event.
So next up, we actually have Kostas Voudouris. He's head of organic and performance media at Maxis, a Group M agency. Kostas today is going to be talking about performance-based optimization utilizing Google Search Console. Kostas, sorry. All yours.
Hello, hi. I'm Kostas. I work for Group M at Maxis, and I've been building tools in the past 4 years. One of them is a platform that uses Google Search Console data at its core. So I've spent way too much time looking at Google Search Console charts and way too much time making API calls to Google. And today I'll be sharing everything I've learned in the past 4 years. Things you can do without any paid-for tools or programming language. And I will... First, I need to explain why I love Google Search Console and the API, mainly for the reason that with the API you can download much more data than the interface provides you with. Secondly, you can get actual traffic and actual traffic metrics like impressions, clicks rate, and average position, which basically helps you to attribute change into your keywords. And then I also love Search Console because it kind of like does all the real automation of keyword addition. You don't need to go into a traditional rank tracking platform to add your keywords. Every time you add new content, Google Search Console picks up the keywords that you get impressions from after the page has been indexed. Because when we tend to add keywords into a platform, we usually go for the keywords that we basically want to rank but are impossible to reach. So my main advice is that track and analyze the keywords you have content for, not the ones you wish to rank for, because you might never do. Now, this is the Google API Explorer. I'm not sure if... has anyone used it before? Can I see hands? Quite a few people. So what you do is you log into Google with your email that has access to your Search Console profile, and basically you can request from Google to show you the data that you want to see by adding all of the dimensions from the data you want to see, the time frame that you want reporting on, and then here you can specify the number of records that you want to retrieve. The default is 1,000 records, which is the same as the interface, but you can download a max of 5,000 rows of data per request. If you want more data than the 5,000 lines, which is the maximum, you just need to make another request until you get all of your data, basically. The other thing I like is that it gives you, the API Explorer gives you the option to filter down your data into a specific segment that you want to see. So what I did here, I've requested basically all of the keywords that contain the word URL editor, which is my brand term, from searches that have performed in the US. So after you fill all of the details, you hit submit, or rather execute, and then Google comes back with a JSON response. Igit earlier introduced JSON to you, and you kind of don't need to know all of the details about JSON. You can use one of the online converters I've used here, where you basically just paste all of your JSON data in there, and then the tools transform this data into an Excel file or CSV that you can download and play with. And this is good for ad hoc analysis, but the problem is you won't be able to do this on a daily basis. It becomes tedious when you want to store all of your historical data, which is the reason I suggest this little Google Docs add-on. It's free to use, and it kind of uses the same logic. You kind of like add all of the metrics from the data you want to see here, and then you request the data, which comes straight into Google Docs. The good thing about the tool is that it has a backup option where you can schedule this tool to run on a daily basis. So you can basically store all of the historical data. That's the functionality over there. So you have no reason why you shouldn't be using that tool, and by any means, I haven't developed it. So start harvesting your Google Search Console data today, so tomorrow you have 91 days worth of data. Now, before we move into some funky charts, I want to introduce to you an interesting metric that, in my opinion, is missing from Google Search Console that can unlock a lot of insight. It's the new keyword metric, which is basically a Boolean, true or false, that is attached to a keyword and indicates whether that keyword, whether your site has received impressions from that keyword in the past or not. So when you identify a new keyword, you flag it as true. And if you're using the previous plugin that I showed you earlier to bring all of your data into Excel or Google Docs, you can use this formula to calculate that metric. But now, looking at this metric into an Excel spreadsheet won't make justice to this wonderful attribute. So I'll try to visualize it to make more sense of it. So you see with light blue my clicks that are increasing over time, and then with light brown you see the impressions. And then with dark brown, you see the number of keywords that I started appearing with each month. Now you see every time there is a rise on new keywords, that rise is followed by an increase of clicks. This is because when you start ranking for new keywords, you start ranking for positions below page 1. But you only start receiving traffic for those keywords after they climb on page 1. Hence, there is a delay between the time that you start getting indexed for that keyword with the time that you start receiving actual traffic from. Another tricky metric, the average position, which is a metric I will not use as a KPI for over a large set of keywords. As you can see here on the graph, my traffic and the number of keywords I receive traffic from increases, while the average position is decreasing. This is, again, for the same reason that after you start appearing, when you start appearing for new keywords, they appear from pages, from the 5th page of Google search results. And the more new keywords you appear with, the lower the average position it becomes. So I would only use the average position when looking at a single keyword or the same set of keywords over time. So I would encourage everyone to basically download, store your data, and visualize it, because I think the ability to read Google Search Console charts, in my opinion, is the most important thing you can do to understand your Google traffic. Now, enough of looking at charts, and I want to focus for the rest of my slides on the actionable things you can do moving forward after you have downloaded all of your data. The thing I like to start with is conducting a good old keyword gap analysis, where I download all of my keywords and I kind of divide them into 3 distinct categories. My top performers, this is where I have all of the keywords I rank on top positions, mainly your brand terms. Quick wins, keywords that you rank in between position 4 and 20, second page. And then lastly, my content gaps, keywords that you rank from between position 20 and infinity. Now, this content gaps is probably my favorite group because you can find a lot of topics that Google thinks your business or site is related to, but you don't actually target with keywords. And this is where you can draw a lot of ideas from for content creation. Now, the next group is the quick wins. And what I do there is I try to investigate the keyword and try to think the intent that the users have when searching for that keyword, and then I'm trying to add more content into my page to answer all of the questions the users might have. And then lastly, with my top performers, I only look at the keywords that have high impressions. And what I do with those keywords is I try to identify my best performing listing by testing the different snippet using Google Search Console data. So you see here I have 2 listings. There is only a slight change on the title for listing 2, which is the winner. I basically moved my brand term at the end of the page title and I swapped a keyword in front of the title. And then I got keyword to page data from the API, and I put everything together to make a comparison on what performs best. I add for indication the number of dates that my listing was appearing like this on Google, the number of total ranked keywords, the impressions, clicks, click-through rate, daily clicks. Now, the click-through rate and the daily clicks is what I look to make a decision. Because, again, if you look at the average position, my winner here actually has a lower average position, and this is because simply it ranks for more keywords. Now, the other interesting thing that I do with keyword to page data is I look for single keywords that I rank with multiple pages. And what I do is I check to see if the number of impressions are similar and if the number of ranking position is similar. Because if they are, this is a good indication that for this keyword I rank with side links, where my main listing is the keyword that gets the most clicks and everything else appears as a side link. And I like to visualize this data and ask myself if there is anything else I can do to improve the way my listing is being displayed. Now, on the other side, if you see that you rank for the same keyword with a lot of different pages that have different number of impressions and average position, that indicates probably like 90% of the times that will be keyword cannibalization due to duplicate content. And in order to investigate a bit further, you need to visualize your average position over time to get a better understanding of what's going on. And when you find things like this, what you really need to do is either change the canonical tags of those pages to point into your main preferred landing page, or 301 redirect everything into what you consider to be the page that you want to see. Now, the other thing that I like to do with Google Search Console data is create click-through rate models that I use to benchmark performance and forecast traffic. I don't look at one model for everything. I try to create different models based on the page type. So you see here I have blog articles, desktop versus mobile. I group them by the device that the user is using, or by the keyword type, whether it's brand and generic. And what I like to do with this data is I like to visualize it and look for outliers. So you see with red here, our clients' listings get higher click rate in position 4 than they get in position 3, which is odd. So when we kind of investigated the reason, we realized that for one of the main brand product terms, they were ranking on position 4, being outranked by a lot of retailers. And the only reason why that position 4 had higher click-through rate is because users wanted to buy from the official website, so they were more inclined to click on the official listing. Now, what we did is we managed to create some content and optimize the page and get it and regain our first position. But in order to do this, we've used the click-through rate model to forecast the traffic that would get in position 1. And this is what I suggest you do. So this is basically where you can, we've used the click-through rate for the keyword group, because it wasn't just a single keyword, it was a set of similar keywords with the number of clicks, and then we looked at the current conversion rate, and we basically told the client, if you do those 4 changes, it's more likely that you'll jump between position 1 and 2, where you would double your monthly revenue. And I know there is much more into forecasting your data than using the simple metrics that I have here, but I think Google Search Console is a good place to start by creating your custom click-through rate models. That's it. I would encourage everyone to start tracking your data, all your historical data, using the plugin or with manual pools. Then I would advise everyone to learn a bit more about the metrics and what they mean, because a lot of people have the wrong impression that Google Search Console data is not accurate. Finally, you need to visualize your data and then withdraw insights you can use to, for content gap analysis, to optimize your content, or even forecast potential gains. That's it. Thank you.
This was originally recorded at a Brighton SEO conference. If you want to listen to more episodes or find out about the conference itself, you can do at brightonseo.com.